literal spikes on top, felt like my personal Iron Maiden these days. Ever since the incident. But if I was being honest, before that too. Picture it with me, big brother. You're driving cross-country, epic road trip, Grand Canyon probably.
It would be a better use of both time and money to fly.
Okay, but you didn't. It was as good a distraction as any, to banter the way we used to pretend for a few minutes that the incident hadn't irreversibly ruined us, that the last 6 months of our lives hadn't been garbage. I flicked at the lock on my door, up and down, until Fitz activated the child locks and I was forced to stop. You're driving, it's late, you need some caffeine, but it's also about 1,000,000 degrees because you're in the desert, and our pale Yankee bodies aren't suited for those kinds of conditions.
And
I pause for dramatic effect. Tall trees, some of their leaves already changing, whipped past my window. And you want coffee, but you also need a cold drink. Boom! That's 2 cup holders right there, and now you've deprived your passenger of their beverage options. That is terrible hospitality.
well, when you take up interior car design, that can be the first thing you correct.
If you didn't know Fitz, you'd never hear the edge of a joke in his voice. But I'd learned to recognize it. This was what his sense of humor had whittled down to over the last few years. Brief glimpses of what my brother used to be. We pulled into the parking lot of Townsend's, a diner that Fitz, of course, had discovered when he was at Pemberley. We'd driven here together at least once a month my freshman year, his senior, when he'd pulled himself away from the demands of applying to all the world's top colleges and leading the debate team to victory to hang out with little old me. We'd order bottomless pancakes, even though the diner had threatened to take them off the menu after one specifically epic eating extravaganza the day before spring break. For an extra couple of bucks, they'd put whipped cream and M&Ms on them too. Fitz's laugh would be more than an edge to an admonishment. And I'd be glad to hang out with my brother, the only family I had left. It wasn't the sort of place our parents had taught us to visit, with its absence of cloth napkins and a sommelier. But since my dad passed away 4 years ago, when I was 12, and my mom had taken the opportunity to abandon me and my brother to the staff and to each other, it wasn't like there was anyone to stop us. Now I just had Fitz to stop me. No way. The squeals of the hostess echoed through the relatively empty diner as we pushed through the door, the warmth of the overactive heater inside a welcome reprieve from the biting cold. Tell me that's not Fitz Darcy.
Jen?
Fitz raised up his mouth in what might be called a smile had his eyes gotten involved. Squeals were basically standard when grown-ups around Pemberley saw Fitz. If the teachers, support staff, and local townspeople could have voted for homecoming king, it would have been him. Every time. I mean, it wasn't, because the homecoming court was a teenage popularity contest, and actual human popularity among our peers was not something that either of us had ever excelled at. Fitz was more the valedictorian type, while I was neither of those things. But still. What are you even doing here? Jen led us to our table way more slowly than I would have liked, my stomach already growling. Hasn't the semester started for Caltech, or do you geniuses out there need less time in class than everyone else?
I'm at SUNY Merton this year, actually.
The remnants of Fitz's smile disappeared as we settled into the torn vinyl booth at the back of the diner, where the smell of griddled foods threatened to overwhelm me.
I transferred to be closer to home.
Why would you— Oh. Jen's face flashed with a recognition I needed to get used to as she looked over at me, and I wanted to melt into the vinyl, become one with the vinyl, since I was pretty sure vinyl booths never had to feel guilty about a single mistake they had made over and over again for the rest of their lives. Plus, they got to live next to the pancakes, and kids dropped food into the cracks of the seating all the time. It would be a less humiliating life than the one I currently led. Right. The Pemberley Academy gossip mill churned.